So while I'm away and I've got a short amount of time where I've got the house to myself, I thought that I would do a quick end of year rundown for how my business has gone, because it's always interesting to see the numbers, and I'm not afraid to tell you exactly what I've actually made. It's not a lot of money, but it is what it is. This is the reality of how much things cost, how much you can potentially make. Now, my business is not my main source of income by any stretch. In order to be able to keep doing what I'm doing and enjoy what I'm doing as a creative outlet, I have 4 or 5 other income streams which really do pay the bills. But this year has been different. I've been doing the decoupage, which I started this time last year as an experiment, and I've added it as a major store area in my business. So really I've been making and selling it only this year. So it's been experimental. I've been learning how to do it. In 2026, I want to get better at that, make better things, more interesting things, a variation of things, using more materials, and see how we get on. So I wanted to give an overview of how my business has done. So my income for 2025 is £737.90, which does not sound a lot, and that's because it isn't a lot. That is down £67.86 on last year, before I started doing this decoupage work. However, my business outgoings this year, that's for materials, that's for postage, all those sorts of things, that has come in at £936.26, and that is less than last year. So last year it was £282.26 more in post and packing, buying materials to make things, all that sort of stuff. So in fact, I've ended up earning more this year than last year, because although my income was down £67.86, I spent £282.26 less on materials. So that's pretty good. So this year I have sold a total of 76 items across my entire online store. 34 of them were what I would class as decoupage or decoupage related, so they're part of that new income stream. For the decoupage alone, I spent £146.11 on materials to make stuff. I have been gifted a lot of things. I use a lot of upcycle and recycle, but there are lots of things you still end up buying. Postage, that's customer postage, which is paid for by people who buy things online. That came to £59.67, and that's just the postage, because I recycle all my packaging materials, so I don't charge for packaging, I just charge for actual postage. So that's a total going out for this section of my business of £205.78. My income from this section was £291.50, so I came in with a profit of £85.72. So when I talk about profit, my decoupage section is part of a much wider part of what I do. So there are still costs. There are PayPal fees. I have to pay for my Shopify store. So that isn't money straight in the bank. That's really money that goes back to paying towards the other things. So in terms of numbers, that means that almost half of my sales in 2025 came from this new decoupage section. So I need to work on that to improve that in 2026. I also need to start refocusing on some of the other areas that I sell on to improve those. Things like the jewellery and things like that, where I have more scope to sell more items, because the way things are at the moment with how expensive everything is and the cost of living and everything else, I still need to focus on being able to sell those items which are more affordable. Now, I've added some little graphs and things here to interest you. One I'm going to show you here is to do with how unpredictable sales are. So here's a graph of my business over the last 4 or 5 years, and you can see how up and down making money is. Those aren't profit margins. That's gross income before any expenses go out. So you can see how good things were during COVID for me, because everything was online, and I started to sell very differently during COVID. I started to just sell all the materials and the craft stuff that I had, because everyone got into crafting because they were stuck at home. So that's why that year looks really, really good. So if you took that out, you would see that my business income is very small, very average. I work out of my spare bedroom. I have other jobs I need to do. I'm a one-man business, and I'm just, trying to make whatever I can whilst enjoying what I do as a creative outlet. So that's that one. The other one I wanted to show you is about conversion rates. So conversion rates are the difference between people visiting your website and the people who buy from your website. So there's some text here that I've included, which gives you an idea of expected conversion rates. So anything between 1% and 3% is considered good. And you can see here that mine, on the right-hand side, where that's the completed conversion from the left, which is people visiting, to the people who bought on the right. And I have a 0.61 conversion rate percentage, which isn't horrific, I don't think, considering. Let's see if we can improve on that next year. Because on the left there you can see that's people who visit. Then you've got the second column is people who added something to their cart but didn't buy. The third one is people who reached the checkout, and nearly everybody who reached checkout actually bought. So there were one or two hesitations on purchasing, and that happens. That's what it is. Other charts that I have here that might be worth looking at, that you might like. Here is one of sessions over time for this year, so you can see how up and down and up and down and up and down. Some of that is connected to, say, bank holidays, things like that, where people have more time to sit and just browse the internet. Some of it might be because I've just posted up a new range of things, like when I started doing the craft jars and things like that, and more people visited from places like YouTube to have a look at what I actually had in my store. Here is a copy of my sessions by location. So I had to stop selling to the EU and America this year because of different regulations, tariffs, things like that. And you can see how much my UK browsing base has increased this year, and how much the US has dropped as well. And then the other biggest people looking were Germany, who can't buy because I can't sell to the EU anymore, Singapore and China. Singapore and China, I suspect, are to do with spam. I get a lot of spam mail from people saying that they can improve my website or improve my YouTube channel, and they will go and look at the website and then try and get me to give them money to improve my channel. So that's what that might be. Sessions by social referrer, you can see at the top here how much my traffic has increased from YouTube to my website in this year alone. It's gone up 67%, which is massive. Facebook has gone down. I don't really use Facebook anymore. It has the occasional update, but I'm not really a fan of Facebook anymore. Instagram is up just 1%. I've recently, in the recent last 2 months or so, started to try and do more posts from Instagram, so I've gone up 1%. Pinterest I don't bother with. I don't like Pinterest anymore. It's just all AI and adverts, and I ditched my LinkedIn earlier this year. So you can see how that looks as well. So that gives you an idea of traffic, how traffic works. And if you have a Shopify store, you can see all these metrics as well, because I do like the analytics. It's very interesting. And that gives me an overview of how things have changed, how different things look, and where I might be able to make improvements. So that's basically what things look like for 2025. And that gives me ideas as well for how I can improve things next year. So there are certain areas I really want to work on, things where I want to keep creating at the same rate but in a slightly different way, other things that I still need to try. I've got 2 or 3 different ideas that I want to add to the decoupage section, which might create sales, and the things I need to experiment with. I'm going to have a little play around with some ideas while I'm away over Christmas and New Year, and then we'll see if we can put some new things in the store next year. I have a lot of stock in store. I need to shift stuff. January is going to be a dead month because it's the longest month of the year. It's the first month after Christmas and New Year, so everyone is spent out and then waiting 5 weeks to be paid again. So I very much doubt there will be any sales coming through in January. February, likewise, I think is going to be a pretty ropey month in terms of making any sales. So I don't expect anything to really start kicking off until March, until spring starts to arrive. But you never know, and it gives me time to just focus on improving some of those lines and things that I've already got. So going into next year, pretty buoyant really, because although my income looks down, my expenses are down, which means I actually earned more money than last year. So that's good. That works out. And of course, I have 2 years for my business. So I have the calendar year, which is January to December, which is what I've just told you about. But then I also have the tax year. So that is April the 6th to the April the 5th. So on April the 5th, I will be able to look at my tax year and do another audit based on the financial year. And we'll see if that looks better. I think that might look better, but it depends on how spring goes. You know, we have January, February, March, and a little bit of April to really bring in some new sales and some new ideas. And we'll see how we get on with that. So I thought I'd do that as a little overview. There will be pictures and numbers and things around here so you can have a look. And I hope you found that interesting. I don't mind doing the numbers. I'm not worried about people seeing how little I earn. I'm a single person income household, and I have to find other ways to make my money. And if you watch my personal channel, you'll have seen my monthly audits and things like that. So you will have seen all that. So you will know how I am making my money. So if you're interested in that, I'll put a link up here to the folder and I'll try and link to that folder where I keep all my personal audits, and then you could see how I run my life aside from my business as well. But if this has been interesting to you, do drop a comment or a like, and I'll be interested to hear what you have to add. So I hope you've had a nice Christmas. I hope that New Year is okay for you, and let's charge into 2026 and onwards and upwards, because you have to. So thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.